have this uncontrollable urge to geek out on just about everything that I do, especially if I enjoy it. But I enjoy the learning process of fishing as much as I do actually catching fish. And of course, the last couple of years, there's been all these underwater cameras coming out, and naturally, I had to get a hold of some and try and figure out how to run them on my downriggers, just so I could compare things for myself and fine-tune my own fishing. I'm sure I owe a bit of my curiosity to Charlie White. I think I was in junior high at the time Salmon Spectacular came through Port Angeles when I watched it at Stevens Middle School. And I can tell you that running cameras trying to capture fish strikes is it's difficult and it can get frustrating. So I have a newfound appreciation for what Charlie did. And after figuring out how to get the cameras to capture things, I wound up with about 130 hours of usable video. And after spending the winter cutting clips of fish or hitting or attempting to hit the flies, out of that I got about 4 hours of just fish hitting flies. So I actually captured a lot more than I thought I would. I figured last year I would just keep it simple and just try comparing a few things just to see what all I would get. So last year I was just comparing distance of the flasher behind the boat and leader lengths. Before I get into any observations from the underwater video, I'll tell you what I was using. I know a lot of people try to guard that, but I'm even more certain now that it's a very small part of the equation, and it's the bigger portion is how you fish it. But I don't use flies because I think flies are the best lure out there. Fly tying, to me, I got into it when I was a kid, and it's just another way of getting deeper into the fishing lifestyle, cutting in another layer. You know, some guys get into rod building or making other lures, but it adds to the fun to catch fish on things that you made yourself. I do enjoy it. But I tie 3 basic patterns for saltwater salmon. I tie the hoochies, and I tie this bait fish pattern, and then I also tie some candlefish patterns. I was going to try and keep variables to a minimum as much as I could last year, so I just stuck with this bait fish pattern in a couple of different colors. For kings, I just kept to this dark color pattern here. It was back in the 80s I first tried applying the dark water, dark lure theory that people talked about. And I tried a hoochie. It was a dark brown hoochie with a white underbelly, and its color code was C47. And I just slayed kings on that, especially down deep. So that's what this one is based on. And then for silvers and humpies, I ran a orange and pink backed bait fish, and boy, it's when I got into blackmouth, the blackmouth really hit it. They really liked that one. But then I also ran this fire tiger one that worked really well for silvers and humpies. I don't really have the brain power or the understanding, I think, to fully explain exactly how salmon see. I don't think anybody really does. I think we're just going to kind of have to make assumptions on some of that. But when I'm looking at lure type and color, I am basing it off water conditions, but you'll see you go from like clear blue water to kind of a cloudy green water, and that you'll go in and out of that all day long. And I'm assuming that the green is something to do with algae blooms, but it's not just a color change, it's also a low grade visual noise that blurs out shapes and sucks the life out of colors. And then of course you've got jellyfish. They can get thick and they can be combined with other particulates that cause a lot of visual noise. And then of course you've got available light at depth, and you go down far enough to where it looks like there's no light, but there's also still a great deal of visual noise down there. And it's kind of like driving through a heavy snowstorm looking for a snowshoe hare on the side of the road. Can really lessen the distance fish can see, I think. I did drop a light on the camera in the dark to go down deep just to see what I could see down there, but it really attracted the heck out of dogfish, so I quit doing that real fast. One key observation that I had was a fish's behavior coming in to hit a fly. I kind of likened it to myself at Thanksgiving. You know, the first plate, I'm gonna smash it. I've been waiting for it for a week. Then second plate, you know, I'm gonna be less aggressive. I'm half full. You know, I'm just gonna go get a bit, and I'm not gonna put much effort into it. And then after that, you know, I'll drop the plate in the sink, and on my way back to the chair, I might hit a piece of summer sausage or fudge if it's within reach, but I'm not gonna work for it. I think it's a pretty well-known idea that fish, when you get on them when they're feeding, they can be real aggressive and a hot bite, and then as they progress to getting full, they'll become less aggressive and it tapers off. And this is one area where I saw leader lengths make a huge difference. Flies are real wispy and light, and any movement at all in the water, they seem to undulate and pulse. It's kind of a lifelike movement. That's one of the advantages to a fly over some other lures. They don't really do that. But it comes with a caveat, really, because as light and wispy they are, they're more susceptible to greater movement the shorter your leader is. This excessive movement is it's no problem for aggressive fish, but the less aggressive they become, the less they would be inclined to hit it. You know, some fish, they just might not be interested in it, but the excessive movement is obviously a deterrent to the less aggressive fish. You'll see salmon swim with their mouth open, moving their head side to side, trying to catch the fly and having difficulty. A lot of times they actually just give up. Some would see the movement and be like, nope, I'm not even going to try, I'm moving on. And it felt a little weird fishing something that I knew wasn't as effective. But it's really cool capturing the responses from fish. So, I mean, I had as much fun with that as I did actually catching fish. So, something else, though, that I kind of quickly picked up from all the short leader footage was a big increase in poor hook sets. I mean, it was a lot. It was really significant. Fish weren't sticking. A lot of times they weren't even pulling the clip off the downrigger. And of course some would come off at the surface or at the boat. But it was a huge difference. I don't think they were short striking on their part. You know, it was just they were having a hard time catching the fly on the shorter leaders. I mean, I'm sure there's other variables to it, such as hook size, style, the distance they are apart. But it was a huge increase in poor hook sets and lost fish. So I don't try to impart any movement on the fly anymore at all. I mean, I don't want to see it. I just want to rely on the fly's ability to kind of pulse and move so freely in the water. This really improved the number of lesser aggressive fish that I actually did hook. And got better hook sets. So I mean, if you feel like you're missing fish or they're coming off a lot, I would definitely suggest trying a longer leader. This is kind of what I want it to look like when a lesser aggressive fish comes up and takes a fly. I want it to be easier for him to catch than, you know, trying to swim around with his mouth open. There's a lot of other variables to it. I mean, when it comes to leaders, length I think is the main variable, but then you have like stiffness of the material and pound test that adds to that. I use pretty much 30-pound fluorocarbon. It's pretty durable. I don't have to retie very often at all. I get a lot of fish off the same leader. And most of this short leader footage was done with a 8-inch flasher and a 36-inch leader. which is too short. There's just a lot of the lesser aggressive fish couldn't catch it. So I got a lot better results with 44 to 46 inch leaders on the 8-inch flasher. And when I was trolling for kings, I was using 11-inch flasher all the time. And I use a 60-inch plus leader on them. I have absolutely no doubt that salmon are attracted to flashers, the 360 flashers. I see them honing in on them as I'm dropping gear down, and then I also see them just flat out attacking flashers. And I did notice that silvers were more apt to come up and attack an 8-inch flasher. I'm not sure if they're intimidated by the larger flashers, and then there's blackmouth. Blackmouth, they seem to choose violence for breakfast. They go and just attack absolutely everything. Another thing I was messing with last year was the distance of the flasher behind the boat. And the further you put it out, the slower the roll is and the bigger the circle is. And as you bring it in, it gets tighter and faster. But I don't believe that the speed you're going is a speed that the fish like to hit. I believe it's just strictly getting the action out of the flasher that the fish find favorable, that they're more attracted to. And of course, you can fine tune that by the distance you put it out behind the boat. From slow to fast, flashers tend to kite, and then they'll do figure eights and then roll, and just a touch faster than the roll that comes after the figure eight seems to produce best for me. It's something I guesstimate from watching it near the surface when I can, and sometimes you just got to go with your gut. So I'm looking at boat speed, GPS speed, and RPMs, and I'm also watching the angle of my cable on my downrigger. I don't think salmon are anywhere near as gear shy as I used to. I mean, I see them up around the downrigger ball, and then they hit the fly all the time. And when I'm going with the current, trolling for silvers, I'll actually, my flasher is only like 6 feet from my downrigger ball. When I'm going with the current, I'll shorten it up so I don't have to go as fast and wind up completely blowing through an area where fish are feeding super fast. I like to try and go as slow as I can through where the fish are actually feeding. The cameras I'm using do have a microphone inside the housing. They're not super sensitive, but I mean, you can hear the swivels rattle around, you can hear splashes and stuff like that. But when they're down in the water, you hear this ungodly moan. But I think that moan might be vibration coming from the downrigger cable down, physically through the camera mount to the camera. But the fish just don't seem to give a damn about it one bit. I actually got a lot more out of just comparing a couple of things last year than I thought I would. It's kind of neat to watch your underwater footage to, fine tune how you're doing things. But I think I'll be sticking with longer leaders, definitely, for certain. And a lot of the king footage that I got was it was low light, so it wasn't good enough to compress to upload to YouTube. Pixelates out real bad. So this year I'm going to focus on kings and shallower water with more light, get up around some structure. And this year I believe I'm going to try a bunch of different flashers and attractors and just see the differences, how fish respond to them. And I might even try, I'm pretty sure I'll be trying some spoons on different leader lengths just to compare to how different they are from flies with, there's more drag on a spoon as it's fluttering around going through the water. So who knows, you might be able to get away with a lot shorter leader on a spoon. But ultimately, I think it's going to be different for every boat, really. So, different. You find that flasher distance behind the boat that just seems to give you the action that you catch more fish. It's going to be different than what I do, so knowing what flies or colors I'm using really isn't that much help. There's a lot of variables to play there. But if you do try flies, I hope you see something in this that might help you make adjustments on the water to be more effective. I mean, I definitely got a lot out of watching the underwater footage myself. So, well, see you out there on the water this year.